Hello everyone, my name is Blackwatch and welcome to another episode of my R6 lore series. After weeks of waiting, Ubisoft have finally revealed fresh details about the new squads that will be taking Team Rainbow forward into the future. Wolfguard, Rainbow's squad of humanitarian specialists, has arrived. Now, there's more to come in just a couple of days at the big reveal during the Charlotte Major, but for now I'll take you through everything I know and give you some insight into why I think each member of Wolfguard has been selected, starting with everyone's favourite Frenchman, Doc. Doc, out of all of Rainbow, is probably the most well-liked and definitely one of the most respected operators in the roster. He's proved his loyalty and skill time and time again, and has been with the group ever since the Reformation in response to the White Mask attacks. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a video about those. Most importantly, Doc is a fully committed humanitarian, and his no exceptions attitude to the preservation of innocent life is unmatched by anyone else in the team. Clash worked her way from protester to police, turning away from a rebellious and violent past to enact real change inside the system and not against it. Her experience in the Met taught her one of the most overriding principles of policing in the UK. Death doesn't have to be an inevitability in the event of a serious crime, for the victim or the perpetrator. Her non-lethal CCE shield is a valuable tool for crowd control in hostile environments where you want to deter and de-escalate, not dispatch. Montagne, similar to Clash, offers his shield as a protective barrier for his comrades that can still be used to control the movement of aggressor and innocent alike, depending on the situation. Just like Doc, Montagne served in the GIGN, and their old motto was Sauver des vies au mépris de la sienne, to save lives without regard to one's own. Twitch, another fellow GIGN member, brings another form of non-lethal deterrent in the form of her shock drone. As Twitch showed in the field during the drone's first deployment, it would be a life-saving tool in situations that would otherwise end in lethal force. The first official deployment of the RSD Model 1 was during a hostage situation in Paris. A mentally unstable suspect barricaded himself in a convenience store along with several hostages. GIGN was deployed and sought to resolve the situation without violence. Pichon was on site and was able to maneuver the drone close enough to the suspect to deliver a slight shock, forcing him to drop his weapon, where he was incapacitated by an undercover operative on the scene. The incident was resolved with 0 fatalities. Nomad and her air jabs exemplify what it is to create a tool that is as potent at saving lives as it is at taking them. Its existence came from an idea she had whilst expeditioning in Kenya for a device that could push back predatory wildlife from her camps without causing them harm. Eventually, after further development and testing for military application, what we now know as the air jab launcher was born. Fully capable of knocking back even the toughest people off their feet without leaving a scratch on them. A tool that can leave an assailant wide open to be shut down permanently, or just spooked and conspicuous enough to think twice about encroaching on your position. Now, Bandit is the one operator in Wolfguard that I think might confuse or surprise people, but I think it's an unfounded confusion when you really look into it. More than anyone in Rainbow, Bandit has learned to be adaptable around people. His own personality may not be the most comforting, and he has a tendency to be quite cold in his own skin, but at the end of the day, there's a reason he was chosen for undercover work in Germany. His skills in communication and control when it comes to people are unmatched. He said it himself, "In my dreams I can remember every detail of every room, who was there and what they talked about. Always I know I have to maintain control of the situation or risk erasure. Standing out or fitting in, you must always be in control." This ability to control people in a situation, while somewhat sinister sounding, is an excellent quality in someone whose priority will be to preserve life. This, combined with his non-lethal CED, crude electrical device, will offer a simple, easy-to-deploy solution to entry denial, and is a combination sure to help in some of Wolfguard's more high-tension situations. Frost's traps, while not exactly comfortable, do what they need to do in order to not so subtly convince an assailant to give up. The detachable nature of the dual jaws in the traps leaves those caught in it with a new addition to their legs that is highly restrictive, but ultimately non-lethal unless aided by a bullet in the right direction. Coupled with her expertise in search and rescue, Frost has plenty to offer to Wolfguard. Ying is on the record actively highlighting her humanitarian interest, even if this was at direct expense of her teammate Fuse. The indiscriminate nature of his cluster charge was in direct conflict with her non-lethal Candela, and this similarity seemed to only further highlight the potential lack of empathy for unwanted casualties that she believed he possessed. This clear focus on preserving life is further reinforced by her close protection training, offering her the expertise to keep casualties during missions to an absolute minimum, along with a gadget that, as I mentioned earlier, is perfect for non-lethal applications to try and deal with people without having to really deal with them. Castle's care for others is so strong that Harry fears that he may even overlook his own needs in the course of his benevolence. Plus, his bulletproof barricades are clearly an invaluable gadget, with the ability to protect innocents from gunfire during hostile situations. Thunderbird adheres to the principle of balance. Where she'd been trained to take life, she felt obligated to know how to save it as well. Training as an aerial medic, Thunderbird applied this balance to her career in the Canadian Armed Forces and put her newfound knowledge to the test when she developed the Kona Station, achieving a new innovation for effective treatment of wounds in the field. Even Doc is a little bit jealous of that one. Malusi's skills focus mainly on the use of surveillance to prevent negative action. If she can see a threat early, she can stop it from becoming a problem. This was fundamental to her work on the reserves she helped to protect in her native South Africa. The addition of her Banshee is yet another non-lethal gadget capable of some wildly effective crowd control due to the unpleasant nature of the gadget's effects, perfect for keeping undesirables away from those you seek to protect, or to disperse a hostile group without firing a shot. Last, but certainly not least, is Lion, and he's a bit of a complicated one. Although Lion has long been at odds with Doc due to his disagreement with Doc's almost idealistic level of humanitarianism, it seems the two have finally settled their differences, with Harry feeling comfortable enough to place them on the team together, even if one of them is leading the other. Don't let this attitude fool you, however. Whilst he may not share Doc's fervent humanitarian bent, he's still very much committed to the GIGN attitude, and he's used his E1D drone and his own powerful voice as a tool to control crowds in stressful situations and try to keep panic and chaos to a minimum in places where it would otherwise easily thrive. So that's it from me, folks. I will be back very soon once we see the reveal for Wolfguard actually come along, but this was just my opportunity to really go into mainly the Bandit argument, because that's the one that I saw a lot of people advocating for him to be in Kavera's team rather than Doc's. They didn't really understand it, and I feel like I've got a fairly reasonable explanation. Of course, I could end up being completely wrong. This is all my own take on things, but so far my own take has been fairly lucky in terms of lining up with what Ubisoft have actually been going for with the story, so we'll see, and fingers crossed we can enjoy the content that's coming, because it's 6 Major time, the Charlotte Major is on, it's always fun to watch, and there's always a bit of a buzz around the community, so glad to have you guys around, glad to have these new subscribers, thank you for joining, and if you watch these videos and you want to see more, please subscribe, drop a like, all that stuff, and I will catch you in the next video. Do pobacenia, everybody. Bye bye.